attribution of the construction of the Great Pyramid during the approximately 23-year reign of Pharaoh Khufu requires us to believe his team could have placed an average of 12 blocks into position every hour of his reign, one every 5 minutes, day and night for the entire period. But fundamentally, we argue that these guys used unaided eyesight to achieve this accuracy over that distance. Really? It was discovered a few years ago that the four faces of the Giza pyramid are actually slightly concave, with two equal faces to catch the light at a precise moment of the day. This must have greatly complicated the construction. Hello folks, today we have a really exciting subject for you: Egyptian project management.
That sounds really boring.
Bear with us folks, I think you'll find this to be quite intriguing. Today we will look at how the mega projects may have been managed. Conventional history recognizes the two most ancient cultures as Sumer and Egypt. The main difference is that Sumer occupied the Tigris and Euphrates river floodplain, which is modern Iraq, and it's almost devoid of available rock strata. So the Sumerians focused on mud bricks and clay tablets to write their cuneiform script. By comparison, Egypt used a variety of soft and variable amount of extremely hard rock for artwork and building projects. Many have commented on the amazing accuracy of the finished stone blocks used in constructing, for example, the pyramids. As we discussed a few episodes previously, the attribution of the construction of the Great Pyramid during the approximately 23-year reign of Pharaoh Khufu requires us to believe his team could have placed an average of 12 blocks into position every hour of his reign, one every 5 minutes, day and night for the entire period. With an average weight of 2.5 tons, it would involve placing into position 800 tons of stone daily. In reality, it seems very unlikely that work would have proceeded day and night. That effectively doubles the rate of build to an estimated one block being placed every 2.5 minutes. Given how labour intensive this massive project must have been, did workers get a month off to sow their wheat? Did they get another month off to harvest their crops? I think that would have been regarded as, basic terms of engagement. So the amount of time people were actually working on site could be considerably less than I'm suggesting, which means the rate of build must have been that much faster. This means that one site manager managing the precise position of each block would be impossible. Even with an amazing supply chain of the right size blocks arriving and forming a waiting queue for placement, manoeuvring 2.5 ton blocks into exact positions all over the pyramid takes some real skill. Maybe with practice, they could position a block from the ground into position in 15 minutes. Maybe. That means at least 6, maybe 10 individual teams and the need for a high level of coordination and sharing of information of a very detailed architectural plan. Oh, and these 2.5 ton blocks seem to be, if not of unique dimensions, of many different exact dimensions. Today we would number each block. We'd probably tag it with an RFID tag so we could track each unique one in its supply chain and how it's positioned up and into position in the pyramid. But I don't think the ancient Egyptians had RFID tags. Let's just consider some of the elements that seem to be missing from our conventional understanding. Firstly, laying out the construction site. The alignment with true north is amazing. The sides of the Great Pyramid are 230 meters, That's equivalent to 4.5 Olympic swimming pools or 2.5 standard football pitches. The error is less than 20 centimetres. Various techniques using astronomical sight lines have been proposed, but fundamentally, we argue that these guys used unaided eyesight to achieve this accuracy over that distance. Really? Secondly, there must have been a very detailed architectural plan showing the dimensions for each block and some identification system to cope with the variety of sizes specified. A pyramid looks easy, but examples abound of failures based on the sides being too steep. And this was designed with internal chambers, sloping corridors, etc., that required detailed calculations of load bearing. It was discovered a few years ago that the 4 faces of the Giza pyramid are actually slightly concave, with 2 equal faces to catch the light at a precise moment of the day. This must have greatly complicated the construction of each course of blocks. The instruction and coordination of the teams at different quarries. Limestone came from nearby, the white casing stones from the other side of the Nile, granite used for internal chambers came from Aswan, 900 kilometres away, and basalt for the paving areas. All of these must have had detailed instructions on the rough size of block to load and detailed planning to coordinate the delivery schedule. The finishing teams, presumably on site, needed instructions on the exact dimensions of each of the daily average requirement of 320 blocks. That's 800 tons at 2.5 tons each. There's a minimum of 320 blocks per day got to be produced. And once you cut out night work and you allow for holidays and interruptions, the volume of blocks produced daily just goes up and up and up. This is a huge undertaking, and using soft bronze tools on granite and limestone will consume vast quantities of tools. Home Depot or B&Q would have had a big box depot on site. Like during the gold rushes of the 19th century, the best role would be selling the buckets and the shovels to the miners. Then it would have been selling the bronze, chisels, and packed lunches for all the stonemasons. Documentation, measurement, alignment, communications. The project management office will need an army of scribes producing and circulating copies of all the detailed plans and amendments thereto. We are told the Egyptians used wooden rods, string, celestial measurements to align their buildings. Yet the alignments of the pyramids are perfected to an incredible degree. 20 centimetres on 320 metres lengths of the sides. Where are the remains of their theodolites? Researching the accuracy of construction work today, I found a standard 20 years ago using lasers and computer-controlled measuring accuracy. A 300-metre long building in the UK was found to be accurate to within 4 centimetres. Okay, 4 centimetres is an improvement on 20 centimetres, but given the advances in technology and the use of lasers and computers to work that out, the abilities of the ancient Egyptians seem completely unbelievable based on naked eyesight. Then there's the actual standard measurement. A standard length used in ancient Egypt was a cubit. This is the measurement from the elbow to the tip of the longest finger. Obviously, it gives a range of actual lengths. In practice, from looking at the rods that have been found, they vary from 17 inches to 21 inches. As you might expect in Egypt for a royal construction, you didn't just use any old cubit, you used the royal cubit. Generally, this was closer to around 20.6 inches. Naturally, the royal cubit was the length of the pharaoh's forearm. A master rod was fashioned from black granite And the rods of all the workers were marked against that. And they were checked at every new moon. That's a nice little ritual, isn't it? A new moon coming, we've got to hand our rods in to be checked for accuracy. How wonderful. Maybe they got a free glass of beer while they were waiting for that. When you had a change of pharaoh with a new royal cubit, that must have been awfully confusing, because all your measurements change. But more fundamentally, how did they achieve smooth progress, or any progress at all, without access to shared project files by all the project managers and team leaders? Imagine a critical granite block for the roof of the king's chamber, specially cut to special shape and size, but it gets banged against the side or dropped when they're trying to put it in place. Cracked, useless, need a replacement. What do? Well, you phone up the quarry in Aswan, 900 kilometers away, and you request emergency cutting of a new block. Get out your all new bronze tools for everybody, and then track it north by helicopter. Didn't think it worked that way those days. So the average speed of dhows on the Nile is about 2.5 kilometers an hour upstream and 4.5 kilometers an hour downstream. So a runner dispatched with an urgent order for a replacement of block type GK387B would take 12 days to reach Aswan. I don't know how quickly they could cut her an emergency replacement. Give them a day. And another 7 to sail with it down to Giza. So that's a minimum of 20 days, maybe longer. So for 20 days, part of the construction was frozen. They could do other bits, but, So the management of a smooth supply chain on a task that scale would have been hypercritical. How do you do that without shared information? I just cannot understand it. Frankly, the idea of achieving the construction of the pyramids of Giza with measuring rods, string, bronze chisels, stone hammers, it sounds like a joke. It could not possibly have been done that way. Thank you. Next time we will have another exciting episode for you. Meanwhile, like button and please subscribe. Thank you.